third and final video in the video series on lecture material for phylum Echinodermata. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. All right, we have a little bit left, so this will be a short lesson for today. We'll continue on talking about the members of class Asteroidea, the sea stars, and let's talk about their reproduction and regeneration. Most have separate sexes, which means they are considered to be dioecious, and that means that there are males and females. Dioecious means that male parts are in one body and female parts are in a separate body. Reproductive organs lie in each of the interradial spaces, so that means all 5 of their arms will contain reproductive organs, and fertilization is external. So the female will lay the eggs, and the male will then fertilize the eggs outside of the female's body. Echinoderms can regenerate lost parts. So this is regeneration. If a sea star is grabbed by a predator and the predator crawls away with an arm, that's no big deal to the sea star. It can grow a new arm back. And they have the power of what is called autotomy or self-cut, and which means they can actually pull their own arm off when they need to for whatever reason. It's hard to imagine wanting to pull your own arm off, but they have that ability to do that. And if you go to this link, the zombie sea stars, it's an interesting little video that talks about how there is a virus that is affecting some of the large sun sea stars, and they're pulling themselves apart, and they're not sure exactly why, but they do. They'll just rip an arm off and leave it. So in a normal situation, though, that's not that big of a deal. They will grow a new arm back, and it reminds me of a story that I read about shell fishermen, those who would go after oysters and clams for the seafood market before people understood how sea stars operated. They would pull up their oyster beds and they would find sea stars in the oyster bed eating the clams and the oysters. So they decided that, well, okay, we'll take care of them. And they pulled out their knife or their machete and they would chop them in half and throw them back into the ocean. And little did they know that this was just doubling their problems, because the sea star that was chopped in half would now regrow missing body parts, and it made 2 sea stars instead of killing it. Without knowing it, they were making more trouble for themselves. So, possibly a good education in zoology class would have helped them out. They would have known, hey, we don't chop them and throw them back. That's just making it worse. So, stay in school, kids. I think that's the message for today. So you click this little link and it'll take you to that video. I won't click it again because I don't want to watch a video embedded within this YouTube video. So I will leave that up to you. So here's an example of a sea star that lost an arm. And so here's the full-sized arm. And because it had at least 1/5 of the central disc, a portion of this disc that contains the ring canal, as long as it has that amount, this arm is regrowing a new sea star body. So it doesn't not even cut them in half. You can cut them into fifths. And as long as it has enough of that central disc, each of those fifths will regrow a new sea star body. So pretty amazing power of regeneration. Now, most of the time, This is done when a predator will grab an arm and the sea star will just let it go. Here, you can have it. And the predator crawls away with the arm and thinks, okay, great, I'm going to eat this. And then the sea star can escape with its life. So since they're not very fast, they're not going to outrun anything. So they just give the predator a body part to eat, and the predator's happy, and the sea star gets to live another day. So pretty amazing power of regeneration in the good old sea star. As they grow and develop, the eggs will hatch into a free swimming larvae. The eggs are held under the oral side of the body or in specialized arboreal structures, meaning those grooves that go down each of the arms. But in most, the eggs are free in the water. So usually the sea star, once the eggs are fertilized, they are just wherever they happen to land. That's where they're going to be left. They hatch into a bilateral free swimming larva stage. So even though they have radial or pentamerously radial symmetry, at one point in their development, they are bilateral. So when the eggs hatch into the free swimming larvae, they have bilateral symmetry. But then when the larvae comes to rest, they will then grow and develop into the adult, which is the pentamerous shaped organism that we are familiar with. All right, that concludes all of the lecture material for this unit, phylum Echinodermata. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later.